Hello everyone and welcome to a new series that I'm starting in 2025. I don't think I've started any other new series this year, but in the previous few years I have started new ones, so I felt like I needed something new as of this new year. And keep in mind that it's like basically March at this point. Well, depending on when I upload this, it might actually be March. But in 2024, I started a blush roulette. In 2023, I started a lipstick project pan. And so 2025, we're doing an eyeshadow roulette. Now, I have kept each of the previous projects in 2025. So we've got a lot of projects ongoing, but I find them all really rewarding. And I also find them very productive in terms of they allow me to declutter and pan products. I will link my blush roulette introduction for 2025 here, and I will also link my lipstick project pan for 2025 here. I have slightly different goals than I did in previous years, but the point of these projects are the same. And my eyeshadow roulette is going to be very similar to the idea of my blush roulette, but with a different type of product, with eyeshadow palettes, because this is my eyeshadow collection as of right now. It's not enormous, like it's not super scary. I think probably most people who are beauty enthusiasts like me have a very large eyeshadow collection, but to me it's still bigger than it needs to be because I do not reach for all of these. Not only do I not reach for all of them, because some of them I don't like that much, so that's why I don't reach for all of them, but I don't have my collection organized in such a way that I am rotating frequently enough through them. And so I figured the way to best do that was to actually organize myself so that each of them gets a full month of use in 2025. This is how it went with my blushes last year, because there's blushes that I love that I just wasn't using organically. Even if I enjoy products, I don't necessarily organically reach for them. Yeah, just for me personally, the way that I've found to best use up my products is to tell myself, okay, this is the blush we're using this month, this is the blush we're using next month, etc., etc. So we're gonna try that with eyeshadows. I don't know how it is going to work because eyeshadow is not the exact same to blush for me because I don't use eyeshadow as frequently. So whereas with a blush, I might end up using it like 4 times a week in a regular week. I will note that in January I didn't wear makeup that much. But if I'm doing my makeup 4 times a week, I am wearing blush 4 times a week. However, I'm not necessarily doing eyeshadow all of those days. A couple of those days I might just be doing minimal makeup because I'm like going for coffee with a friend or running errands or something like that, or I have orchestra practice, I'm in a community orchestra. So I would not wear eyeshadow to rehearsal, but I would wear blush. So, I might only be wearing eyeshadows 2 days a week, but still 2 days a week equals 8-ish times per month, and that's still better to be using one specific eyeshadow palette 8 times a month than to just reach willy-nilly for what I feel like and not getting use out of specific products at all for the entire year, if that makes sense. Like, for example, these 2 palettes, I don't think I used them at all in 2024. I just didn't end up rotating them into my regular use, and I want to make sure that they are being used this year. So yeah, that's a bit of the backstory of why I feel like this is necessary. For me, I don't feel like I need to do roulette in every aspect of my collection because in some aspects I don't have that many products. Like bronzers, I think I have 1 powder bronzer and 1 contour, and then I have 1 cream bronzer or like stick bronzer, halo light wand thing. And that's it. I don't need to do roulette for those because I'm organically reaching for them because I don't have that many. So anyways, I think I have 12 eyeshadow palettes, but let's count. Let's check. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11. I actually thought that I had 13 in total when I did my most recent inventory, which I will link here. And then I decluttered 1, my e.l.f. eyeshadow palette, because it was the oldest one in my collection. So I thought that I was going to end up with 12. Okay, we only have 11 eyeshadow palettes. That's interesting. But, it's better to have 11 than 13 because then I would be like, how am I going to fit 13 into a 12-month year? But this way, it just means that for December or whatever, I can just choose which eyeshadow palette I want to reach for. So my January palette was this one. This is the Ace Beauté Nostalgia palette. And this was decluttered to me by a friend. It is beautiful. I've only had this for a few months and I love it. I loved all the eyeshadow looks that I did with it. I mean, I don't necessarily love all these colors, but it was just so fun to get playful with eyeshadows because I don't have any other palettes that are quite as colorful as this one. So this has been a fun time. I will try to insert some looks here. And I've pretty much just done one and done with these because each of them are so vibrant. But this brown shade here is useful if I just want like a little bit of color. So that one I probably got the most use out of. The yellow one is great. This red one. Anyways, this was super fun in January, but my February eyeshadow palette is this one. And the reason is because I think this is the palette that I am most likely to declutter because there are the fewest shades in here that I actually reach for. If you know my preferences, this just doesn't match my preferences at all. First of all, it is all shimmer. There's not a single matte in here, and my preference is matte eyeshadows. I use them way more. Well, that's why, you know, this is 100% matte, and so I find it so much easier to reach for. I will never do like an all shimmer look, but sometimes I'll do a matte look and then one shimmer. I rarely reach for two shimmers, so I just find it a lot harder to use an all shimmer eyeshadow palette. And also the shades in this, it's just so cool toned. Like these three here, way too cool toned. I would never reach for them. All the ones in this line, except for this one, I just would not reach for. This one, maybe, like I like the shade. The issue is that like I don't use dark shimmer. Because to me, shimmer is in like this part of the lid, like inner corner to sort of mid. And I don't put dark shades there. And it's weird to me to put shimmers in like the outer part of the eye, which obviously you can do, but I just, you know, I can't like deprogram that from my brain. But anyways, yeah, a lot of these, that one I like, that one I like, that one, and that one, and that's honestly it. So like a palette where I only use 5 shades out of 15, that's not great odds. So this one is challenging to use. And so this is the palette that I'm going to be using this month, and then we will see if in fact I decide to declutter it at the end of the month, or if I feel like those 5 shades are so good and I don't have them anywhere else in my collection, so it is worth keeping. I think that's gonna be unlikely just because I've never felt that strongly towards the shades in this palette, but we will see. I did use a few of the shades today. Let me give you a little close up. So in the inner corner, I use this one. It looks just like a white, but it's actually got some like purple undertones to it. And then I use a little bit of this one here and a little bit of this one. So yeah, I think it's nice. Like I do like those shades. The issue is those are pretty much the only shades that I like. Let me swatch them for you here. The 3 that I use the most. And then this one I also mentioned. So I will swatch that 4th one as well. Just very, very light and very cool toned. So it's nice in combination with another palette, but on its own, super challenging. And again, this video might not be going up until March, in which case I will already have used this for a month, but I do want to be filming this now. It was Valentine's Day yesterday, so it's February 15th right now. I do want to have at least 2 weeks of use with this, and then in my next update I will tell you how this went. I'm not going to be updating this every month because you don't need a full video talking about one eyeshadow palette every single month. That is a lot. I'll probably update it every 4 months or so, just like with my blush roulette videos. Those I update every 3 to 4 months. So these were my first 2 palettes of the year. And next let's talk about what my March and April eyeshadow palettes will be. I was just filming for like 8 minutes and none of it recorded, so that sucks. But I decided that the next 2 palettes that I would be rolling into this eyeshadow roulette would be the Juvia's Place ones, because I did actually already mention them. These are the ones that I already know for sure. I'm pretty sure I didn't use that all in 2024, and that's really embarrassing. I think that all the rest of these I did at least use a couple of times last year, but these ones I don't feel like I did. either of them, even though they're quite different. And I will say, looking at all these, I find it hard to imagine that I will declutter any of them beyond the ColourPop one. Like, that's just, it's hard to believe. But maybe I felt that way with my blush collection too, and I still ended up decluttering so many. So I don't know, we'll just have to see how it goes. I think with all of the rest of these palettes, I reached for them at least a couple of times in 2024, because basically how it works is I get ready in the bathroom, so I keep my like daily makeup bag and all of my regular products in there, so all of these will have like a chance to be in the bathroom for at least like a little while. Like, I definitely had all of these in there at some point last year, especially this one. Like, this is one of my favorites, so this has a regular rotation in the bathroom. But I don't remember these ones being in there at all in 2024. Maybe not all of these were in there, but like, for example, this one, this is just a go-to product. I just reach for this organically all the time. So even if it didn't like take up residence in the bathroom for a while, this is just something that I reach for. Like, I have a nice night out and I want my eyeshadow to look really good. This and the Naked palette are my go-tos. It's always such a nice look, and I can use all of these shades. Not this one as much, but all the rest of them. I love them. I love all of them, and I find it's so versatile. I can use this with other palettes. I can use it by itself. It's just got such good variety. And yeah, it's so hard to find a palette where you like all of the shades. I mean, you know, compared to this one where I use maybe 5 of them at most, this, I love all of them. Granted, it's a bit smaller still. So yeah, that's probably why I don't reach for this one that much, because it is like similar shimmers in a way, but I just prefer this one, and it's more compact. Like, I can travel with this, I can take it on a weekend away. It's great. This one I do not need to force myself to use whatsoever. In fact, I'm already thinking about, like, you know, for the months where I'll be using palettes I don't love as much, like this one, like, what is the other eyeshadow that I am going to roll in to use in tandem with this? Because, like, you know, what if I want some matte? What if I want some brown on the lid as well as this shimmer? I can't just use this. I'm gonna have to bring another palette in as well. But anyways, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. The next palettes that I am using are these ones from Juvia's Place. Let's talk about the Warrior 2 first. So this is unique in my collection because it almost is more of a face palette, even though on the back it says eyeshadow palette. These two, especially here, I mostly use them as blushes, and I think these 2 shades you could use as bronzers, especially if you have deeper skin. I find they're a bit deep for me. I could probably get away with this one, but I just haven't tried that, and then that one is definitely too deep for me. And the issue with this is that I don't, again, use the whole palette. I use these 3 middle shades. I love them. This is really nice as an eyeliner. I don't use eyeshadow as eyeliner very much, but this is a good shade for me. And then these 2 I use as blushes, but these ones I never use black as an eyeshadow or an eyeliner. I don't think I've ever reached for that. I think you can tell. Same with this one. I like a pop of white or lighter shade in the inner corner, but that is too white. And then again, black, I don't use that shade, and these ones are a bit deep for me. I only like light brown eyeshadow. So it's tricky. It's like, is it worth keeping this palette for 3 shades? Maybe, but I don't love the idea that I never reach for 6 of them. So I don't know, would you keep a palette where you only use 3 out of 9 shades? That orange, it's so unique in my collection though, or at least it used to be more unique because I used to not have any orange blushes whatsoever. I do have one now. I have this Jason Wu palette which has an orange blush in it. They're not exactly the same, but I still feel like that orange is unique in my collection. It's really filling a gap, but let me show you the difference. The Jason Wu one is definitely more like coral. It's a bit lighter, maybe a bit pinker, and the Juvia's Place one is slightly deeper, slightly more dusty. This is the Jason Wu, that is the Juvia's Place. You can see Jason Wu is lighter. This blush is actually in my blush roulette right now, so I've been getting a lot of use out of it. Stop honking! And I really do love it. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. I obviously cannot make any decisions at this point. I would predict that I'm not going to get rid of it because of those 3 middle shades. Like, that's just a nice pink. Now that I don't have that e.l.f. eyeshadow palette anymore, I don't have that many pinks in my collection. But let me know what you think. I am looking forward to reaching for this again because it has been so long. So it's good to have like an actual reason to use it. That's the point of all of these roulettes and project pans, because otherwise I would not get use out of a lot of these products, even if I love them. The next one is the Warrior. So that was the Warrior 2. This is just the Warrior 1 from Juvia's Place. Also an eyeshadow palette, but quite different. That one was all mattes. This is mostly shimmer. These two are matte and this one here, but the rest of them are all shimmer. And I think I have a better sense of the shades that I like now, because looking at this, I'm like, I know that I would find this challenging to use. Whereas I think when I got it and like the year after I got it, I was just like, oh, it's so nice. Like, these shades are beautiful. But now I know that cool tones, and especially like deeper shimmer shades, I really struggle with them. I don't find that they work as much on me. But of course, I'm still going to give it a try. I guess I would say that this is the next most likely one to be decluttered. I think they're so nice. Like, I like these as a set. I love the packaging. Like, this is art. This is absolutely beautiful. None of my other palettes have like people's faces on them, you know? And Juvia's Place has had its fair share of controversy, so I don't want to discount that, but I do find these palettes beautiful. Yeah, let's swatch some of these. I definitely struggle to use gold on the lids, so I think this one I wouldn't get very much use out of. These deeper browns, I wouldn't use them. This one is too cool toned. That one is probably too light. So there's really only a few shades that I think I could feasibly use. But, oh, the shimmers are just beautiful. Look at that. They swatch so well. Like, it just feels so smooth on my hand. So I don't necessarily think these are like the best shades for me, but I do think that they're great shades in general. So we're gonna have to play around, you know, see what we can do with it. It's like, I want to love it. Like, I love them on its surface, but I just don't love them on my eyes. I think that this will make some cool pictures though. Like, I'm looking forward to creating cool looks, taking pictures, and then being able to show you like, here's what I liked, here's what I didn't, because I didn't do that with blushes. Like, I feel like there's not as much of a difference with blushes unless there's like a pink blush and an orange blush. Like, there's not really a huge difference. Even today, like, I'm wearing an orange blush, but you probably wouldn't be able to guess that, right? But with eyeshadows, that's where color really makes a difference on the face. These are the first 4 eyeshadow palettes that I will be using as part of my eyeshadow roulette for 2025. Hopefully I can have at least one declutter for the first quarter of the year, but even if that doesn't happen, the principal goal is to get use out of all of my eyeshadow palettes this year. I want to make that happen even if no decluttering happens. I will also mention that I'm currently trying to project pan a single eyeshadow from Tarte, which I had meant to include in my most recent project pan update, and I somehow entirely forgot to mention that. But anyways, I will need to be using that in tandem with these ones, so hopefully I can just have fun with eyeshadow in the next few months. These 3 have definitely been neglected in my collection, so I'm glad to have a reason to reach for them. These are the remaining palettes. It's interesting that these ones are all much smaller. Like, this is... Forgot one. Now I know why I thought I had 12. I have one that doesn't actually fit in my like makeup bag, so I have to keep it separately. This one, when I started talking about how this was the only long one in my collection, I was like, wait, no, I have another. This is the Gemini palette from Melt Cosmetics, and, well, I mean, I guess I don't need to show it. I haven't been showing all of these, but I would say these are similar in their packaging. It's kind of annoying that this one is just slightly too long because it does not fit in my makeup bag, but all of these ones are on the smaller side. So yes, I do have 12 eyeshadow palettes as I thought, and I will be able to dedicate one to each month of the year. I suspect this is going to be my December one because this is the one that has gone into my makeup rotation in the past few years in sort of November, December time. But I'm not sure about these ones. These are more spring for the most part. Obviously the Huda Nude Light. This one is sort of good at all times of the year. Sweet Talk, Orange You Glad. These are very springy in their shades. And then these ones could sort of be whenever. So I haven't figured out the entire order of my eyeshadow palette roulette just yet, but I am very much looking forward to this project. I would love to hear if you are doing this along with me, but that is going to be it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and let's talk about a book that I've been reading lately. Okay, today's book is one that I listened to on audio. So the book I read was Mickey 7 by Edward Ashton. I don't read too much sci-fi. I'm only into sci-fi when it's like dystopian, but like realistic and focus more on relationships, and realistic in terms of like about climate change and has a more like feminist, socialist bent. I only read this because it is being adapted into a movie. You might have heard about Bong Joon-ho and Robert Pattinson's new film, Mickey 17. The original is Mickey 7, but they changed it to Mickey 17. This is coming out in March, and I have been so excited about this film. It got pushed back so many times, and it is finally coming out, and I am excited to see it. And I honestly think that the movie will probably be better than the book, because the book was just like, okay, it wasn't great, but I could see why the idea was good. Like the concept was interesting. It was just executed in kind of like it was fine. Maybe I thought it was like not super well written, but again, interesting concept. So it could be made into a really interesting movie that explores some of those thorny issues that it kind of gets into, but doesn't have that much time for, because it was a very short book. I think it was maybe like 7 hours on audio. Let's see how many pages it was. 296. So yeah, under 300. But it is in the future. Everyone basically has their needs met, their basic needs. Humanity is a spacefaring civilization, and so we have like colonized a whole bunch of different planets, and the planet he's living on, he is a historian, but that's not very useful to them. He gets on this ship because he needs to escape the Earth, although it isn't the Earth, it's like, you know, one of our colonies, and the only way to do that, to like get a job and get on this ship, is to become an expendable. They need an expendable, they're hiring for someone, and nobody wants the job. So he goes up for the job, and what that means is you upload your consciousness like into this machine. They just use you for any like dangerous situations, because if you are killed, they will be able to bring you back to life because they have your consciousness uploaded. They can just like reprint you basically. And no one wants to do this because people feel weird about it, but also you're going to be doing dangerous things all the time because that's your job. So it's about this guy and the shenanigans that he gets up to, and the reason he's Mickey 7 is because this is the 7th iteration of him. He has died 6 times before. Robert Pattinson plays the main guy, and Bong Joon-ho, who is the director of Parasite, the Best Picture winner from 2019, or like it won in 2020, but it was a film from 2019. He also did Okja and that movie that they turned into a TV show, Memories of Murder. He's done a whole bunch. He's very, very well-respected South Korean director. And 5 years later, he's finally making another film, and it is English language. Some of his have been English, some of them has been Korean. But yeah, I am very excited about it. I hope it's good. So that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you next week. Let me know if you go see Mickey 17, because I sure will be. Why does this keep happening? I filmed again, and again it says that it did not record. I haven't had this issue for a long time. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you will go see Mickey 17, if that sounds intriguing to you. There has already been one early screening, and people so far seem to like it, but other than that, no actual reviews have come out. So I'm crossing my fingers. But that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you next week.